In this video, we share 5 surprising things I learned when we decided to recover the boat cushions in Seanachai, our 1986 Catalina 22. This image from a previous video has garnered a lot of attention. The wide-angle lens adds a bit of depth to the cabin, but I think the color of the cushions contributes to the open, inviting space. Here's a look at the original upholstery. Built to be rugged and sturdy, it was functional after 33 years of service, but there were a number of tears, and we were more than ready for a fresh look and feel. When we got a quote of $2,000 to have the cushions professionally reupholstered, well, necessity and a limited budget became the mother of this do-it-yourself adventure. I am not a seamstress by any means. I have a rudimentary understanding of how to operate a sewing machine, and I have limited sewing experience. I've made simple curtains and an apron or two, and I don't think I ever installed a zipper before this project. So, what are the 5 surprising things I learned? Number 1, good help is easy to find. There's tons of great help as close as your computer screen. One of the earliest sources for information was the now famous Stingy Sailor. His 2014 blog was a genuine inspiration. I chuckled at the description of wrestling the larger foam cushions, but I found out exactly what he meant. So before removing the covers, I snapped photos of each cushion from various angles so that I would have a point of reference when the sewing began. This particular style is called a box cushion. They're comprised of a top and bottom plates that are the length, width, and shape of the seating, and a boxing plate, which is the height of the cushion, including the foam and batting. We wash the cushions with a mild laundry detergent, some bleach, and lots of water. We used a large recycling bin for the wash water and a kid's wading pool for the rinse. We wrung them out and laid them out in the sun to dry before bringing them inside to take measurements and mark off their positions in the cabin. The number 2 thing? Sailrite. That's right. I can't say enough about this company. Sure, I'd seen their sewing machine ads on the back of sailing magazines, but that's just the beginning. Their selection of fabric and notions specific for this kind of project is unparalleled. And best of all, the tutorials are outstanding. I started with their fabric calculator to make sure that I knew how much material I would need. The calculator takes into consideration the options of vertical or horizontal patterns, including irregular shapes. This is the invoice listing everything I purchased in September 2019. After tax and shipping, it was $530. I did not include the V-berth cushions, and I decided not to use the bias tape from Sailrite and purchased a contrasting fabric elsewhere. I set up my workstation in front of the TV screen in our home office. I hit that rewind button more times than I can say, but it sure was helpful to have experts across the table. Our machine is a Singer heavy-duty 4411. I decided to get used to the machine and the fabric by sewing a couple of throw pillows, once again under the tutelage of the video seamstresses. Even though I never attempted a project like this, I knew how I wanted the cushions to look. I liked the definition of a contrasting color welting on the cushions, and if I was going to do this, I was going to include the welting. Which brings me to number 3, a genius hack for welting. Starting with a piece of fabric, find the bias. It's a 45-degree angle to the grain of the fabric. I used a long 1x2 for a straight edge, just the right width to move along the fabric. I drew out the cut lines on the wrong side of the fabric, cut off the excess corners, and then I connect the top and bottom to make a tube. Sew one seam down the pinned edge. Take the pinking shears and get to cutting. This method got me about 180 inches of bias tape from a piece of fabric 18 by 24 inches. To create the welting, I folded the bias tape over the welting cord and using the machine's zipper foot, ran a seam close to the rope, and I was ready to go. Using Loctite spray adhesive, I attached the batting. with the cushion positioned on the inside or the wrong side of the fabric and pressing slightly on the edge, I traced around. Notice the beveled shape of the cushion. The bottom plate is slightly smaller than the top plate. With the batting included, I got the measurement for the boxing. The boxing strip for the zipper plaque needs to be a bit wider, so I measured the zipper width to take that into consideration. I'm not going to show you how I sewed the zipper into the boxing, the welting into the top plate, and then attach the boxing and the bottom plate, because the tutorials I watched were so much better than anything I could do. I'll list some in the description below. But I will share the most astounding thing I learned, how to stuff those cushions into their covers. Number 4, shrink to fit foam. This product from Seanachai is a silky plastic wrap that comes on a roll. Cut it to length and open it up to the 54-inch sheet. Wrap it around the cushion and the batting to form a kind of plastic seal. Then on the zipper edge, use a shop vac to suck out the air in the cushion. In a few minutes, the cushion will go flat, so you can easily slip it into the prepared cover. Gotta act fast though. As soon as the vacuum is removed, the cushion will fill up with air and you'll be wrestling alligators to get it in. Thankfully, the smaller cushions are much more manageable. The whole cleaning, sewing, stuffing process took about 3 weeks. All that's left is to see how they look installed on the boat. After seeing them in place, I decided to add the detail of the decorative buttons on the settee backs and made some matching curtains to fit the window tracks. So you may be asking, how did this first-timer's attempt at recovering boat cushions hold up? Well, 2.5 years later, here's how they look. And that brings me to surprise number 5. Shields up! Fabric Guard works! As part of our maintenance this year, I'm cleaning the cushions with a product recommended by Seanachai for Sunbrella Fabrics. It's called 303 Multi-Surface Cleaner. Seanachai does not recommend spraying this on plastic zippers. So I'm going to avoid that and just really work on the fabric part. Microfiber towels. There's something spilled down the corners. Somehow seems to be coming off pretty easily. I will say that when we installed these cushions after I recovered them, we sprayed them with a fabric protector, a Scotch Guard, something like that, I think. So I bought some companion fabric guard for this cleaner, which after the cushions dry, we'll go ahead and apply that. Seems like the agitation does break up the dirt a bit, but it's that rinse process that really seems to lift the dirt out. Well, I'm not real thrilled about how this is coming up, but I'll give it another go. It's got a nice foaming action to it. Thank you. And just let that sit there for a few minutes and see what happens. And the dirty rinse water. So I'm going to say, pretty good job. Well, it did not come out completely, I have to say. But it's better than it was. As I said, this part wraps around the step cooler, so it's never going to be seen except by me. So we'll just have to live with it for a little while. They're just boat cushions, right? After the cushions were completely dry, we sprayed 303 fabric guard on the cushion tops and boxing according to the package instructions, allowing the application to cure for 24 hours. After that, I'll test the protection. So you know how they always say test in an inconspicuous spot? Well, this is the most inconspicuous spot I could think of. This is the starboard rear cushion, and this section goes in that deep dark corner that I never ever go back to. So this should work for the test for the fabric guard. Well, here's the kind of oopsie that you hope doesn't happen too much. Well, you can see it's beaded up very nicely. See that as well as I can. That looks great. That feels very, very dry. Really. Like it never even happened. Perfect.